And now it started to make sense. All these downloads I was getting, all these dreams I was getting. I was like, I know my mission. I know my purpose. I know why I'm here. I know. It was this deep inner knowing. Something just clicked for me. And I knew exactly what I needed to do. And the moment that I made that shift, I was like, thank you, universe. So I needed to go through all of this to basically learn like music theory, learn how to compose music, learn how to put songs together, learn production, and so on and so forth. So the technical things and the professional things that will help me create more effectively. And now I'm creating binaural beats and I'm singing tones, etc., to heal the body in a more professional way and in a way that can effectively help anyone who is listening out there.
Level up your frequency.
Welcome to episode 11 of the Level Up Your Frequency podcast. I'm your host, Crystal Sun, and I'm here to help you level up your frequency for better health, wealth, and relationships. Today's podcast is brought to you by BizMind Academy. BizMind Academy is an online training platform which is designed to empower startup entrepreneurs by helping them learn skills and tactics that can quickly be implemented into daily business processes to produce noticeable and measurable results. So if you're a startup entrepreneur really looking to take your business to the next level, but not so sure on how to do so, you can check out BizMind Academy to learn anything from how to effectively launch your business to creating a solid business plan and how to manage your time to help your business grow. You can learn about what I just mentioned, plus so much more to really take your business to the next level by visiting www.bizmind.academy. That's www.bizmind.academy. In today's episode, I'll be getting a little more personal and opening up about my journey with sound, why I ditched my career in Hollywood, and what led me to where I am today. So I've always been into sound. I've always been passionate about music. Ever since I could remember, my mom would tell me stories about her being pregnant with me and feeling me doing somersaults in her belly every time she would play any type of music. And my mom, she's musically inclined. She's always been into music. She was a singer. And I have a lot of family who's also musically inclined. So it's always been in my blood. It's in my DNA. It's just who I am. I love sound. So I've always been into creating music. I was in choir when I was very young in elementary school. And I was like the teacher's pet. Like the music teacher loved me and she would have me be lead in all of the different plays that we would put on. And there was a time where I didn't really have a lot of confidence in my sound. I was still going through the phases of really developing it and coming into my own and learning my voice, learning my sound, really learning who I am. And I started creating. I remember writing music at age, I think it was 11 or 12. I created one of my first songs, and I remember I had this little keyboard. It was like a little play baby keyboard, and you could make like little fake like beats and stuff on it. And I remember just making up little melodies and singing along. And then, back then we had tape players. So I would literally put a cassette tape inside and record myself singing and so on and so forth. So I was always experimenting with sound and creating my own music. And then that led me into taking voice lessons. So I actually got a scholarship when I was around, it was like 18, to take classical voice lessons in music theory. So I was trained in music theory. I wasn't the best at it because I'm more of a person who just likes to create without any boundaries. I did okay. And I was trained in classical voice, and I would go around and sing at different opera houses and where I grew up, which was in Providence, Rhode Island. And I loved it. I loved performing. I loved singing. Yeah, I got pretty nervous, but once I was on stage, I would just come alive and light up. And I always loved just expressing myself through the power of sound and music. And that led me to create my own like R&B band. So I joined up with a few other girls, and we were really close to getting a record deal. But the whole terms to the record deal was just like, oh, well, you have to quit school. And my mom she wasn't having that at the time. So I turned down that record deal, and I still pursued my music. I was always very passionate about it. And fast forward, as I was growing up in my hometown of Providence, Rhode Island, I really hit a dead end there. I was going through so much, in and out of really terrible relationships, etc. And one of my friends at the time, he was a makeup artist, and we both worked at Sephora because, hey, I was a makeup artist for like 10, 15 years. And he relocated out to California, and he was just like, hey, there is a vacant room in a house, that I'm staying at, and I think you should relocate out to California to pursue your dream of, becoming a singer. And I'm like, okay, well, why not? So I actually decided to leave everything behind. And just before this had happened, my grandmother passed away, and she was very, very close. We were very close to each other. I loved her so much, like a mother, and she was like a mother to me. So she passed away, and that really pushed me to the edge of like finalizing the decision, because I was a little like on edge, like, should I really go or should I stay? It was very scary because at the time I was like maybe 23 years old. So I was still trying to figure out like what I really wanted to do with my life. And she passed away. And I remember that night I had a dream, a very vivid dream. It was almost like I was in this reality, but not really in this reality. So I was kind of half awake, half asleep. And I remember trying to open my eyes, and it was very fuzzy. And I saw her standing in front of me. And she communicated with me telepathically, and she said, move to California, Crystal. You are going to be very happy there. So guess what? That's all I really needed. So I just said, okay, I'm good. I'm going to go because I trust my grandmother, and I know she's going to be guiding me as I go along on my journey there. So I left literally everything behind. I remember the day, I had one of my friends there with me, and she was at the airport with me just to say bye. We're all crying. Everyone was very sad, except I didn't cry too much. I was actually really happy to leave. I mean, I loved my friends there at the time, but I was just happy to go and start something new. And I had a suitcase, and at the time I had a cat, and her name was Melody. And she passed away last year in April. But she was like my cat daughter, and I had to bring her with me. I wasn't ready to just leave her behind. So I put her in her little carrier, and I had my suitcase. I got on the plane, and of course, the whole entire way, she was just meowing as loud as she could. And this was like, if you think from the East Coast to California, this is like a 7-8 hour flight. So nonstop, she is going and going and going, and she's not stopping. And she hated the flight. She hated me. And everyone on the plane, I think, hated me too, but that's okay. So I got off, I landed in California, and I just remember feeling, wow, like something shifted in me. First of all, I made this scary move. I moved across country. Like I never really I didn't have much experience traveling, period. And the fact that I just took everything, I left everything behind and just decided to move to a place that I've never been to before. I was just like, I don't know what I'm going to do, first of all. because at the time I literally took all of my money out of my 401k. I kind of had a job lined up, but it wasn't like finalized. So when I got there, I was a little afraid, but I had a lot of faith, and I knew that things were really going to work out. So I arrived and I checked out my room in the house, and it was great. I mean, I was happy to be there and start a new journey. And my dream was to basically move to California and become like the next biggest superstar, right? I wanted to be this celebrity, this famous singer. And I wasn't going to stop. Nothing was going to stop me. I was unstoppable at that time. And I was just going to do whatever it would take to make it. So I ended up moving into that, the little room in the house. And I had a lot of trouble getting a job at first. So that was a bit of a struggle. But then at some point, I was able to make it work, and I secured and locked down a job. And my first job was actually teaching at a modeling agency, teaching these models how to do makeup because that's what I was really skilled at, and that's what I knew how to teach. So funny thing is, as I was there, I remember walking in and seeing this guy that he looked so familiar. I'm like, I just felt drawn to him, like I should just say hello. So I said, hey, I'm Crystal. I just, relocated here from the East Coast, from Providence, Rhode Island. He said, oh, yeah, hey, I'm Marvell. I just relocated here recently, too, from New York. And I'm here just doing modeling, taking these classes for fun, but I actually relocated for work. So he had moved from New York and relocated to California for his main job that he was doing at the time. And I said, oh, that's pretty cool. And I went about my way, and I went into the class and I started teaching the students. And he waited till the end of the class, and he came in when I was finished. And basically, we exchanged information. And he said, I think we should hang out because we're both from the same area. And at the time, I'm just like, oh God, this guy hitting on me. I'm like, I'm not ready for that right now. I'm good. I'm just at first I wanted to give him a fake number, but something just told me to give him my real number. So I'm like, all right, let me just give him my number, and let's see what happens. Let's just be friends, and we're not going to hurt anyone. So I ended up going home that night, and a few days later he called me, and I made so many different excuses. He just kept asking me to go to different places and like, hey, want to go to this basketball game? I said no, and I would always have some great excuse. And it was like the traditional, like, no, I'm washing my hair right now. Sorry, I'm not available. And he asked me 3 separate times. And no, I think it was two or 3 times. I can't remember. But the last time he actually asked me like, hey, do you want to go salsa dancing? In a few days, they're having this thing at nighttime, and I'd love to have you accompany me. And I'm just like, okay, well, that sounds kind of fun. Why not just kind of get out and have some fun and do some salsa dancing? So I went and I started, dancing, and it was fun, and we were talking, and then we just ended up talking like all night. We were hardly dancing. We were just talking and talking and talking and talking. And then after that day, we literally just saw each other every day. Well, the reason why I'm telling you this story right now is obviously I have a point to it, but he's my husband. So I feel like my grandmother put me in this position to move to California at this time and land, this specific job, which I forgot to mention only lasted for that day, because for some reason, the woman who I'm not going to put out any names or tell you like what I did exactly, or like the name of the company. I don't want to put anyone out there. She, according to my husband, was just very jealous of any woman that would work within this company, and she was so quick to just, let them go, or they would never come back again. So I thought it was funny. I guess it was her and her husband who they were in charge of this particular company. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I got what I needed out of it. So I ended up meeting my husband. And here we are today. We married in 2014, and now we have a beautiful daughter. Her name is Alara, and she is turning 4 very soon. And, sometimes you can't fight things. You just have to go with the flow and just see that things happen for a particular reason. And that's it. You just let go, and you let the universe do its thing and work its magic. So, I met my husband then, and then we had our relationship going on. And I got introduced to a DJ, and this DJ had connections in Hollywood. And then I ended up meeting a producer, and I ended up recording at a very popular studio in Hollywood. It wasn't the first studio that I've recorded in. I recorded in studios back in Rhode Island as well. But this studio, this was very, very impressive. I mean, Adele recorded there, Justin Bieber, any celebrity you can think of probably recorded in the studio. It was beautiful. I loved it, and I had so much fun. I went there and I was, recording music and working on a few tracks. And then later on, this producer wanted to work with me a little bit more, and we recorded an album together. And then that led me to work with, other producers. And I was on the Hollywood scene. So I was working on music. I was working at some of the top studios with the best talent, producers, and I was paving my way. I could feel it. It was happening. And I was so excited. I was just aligned with all the right people, and things just started magically, that's what it felt like at the time, unfolding for me. And at one point I found myself modeling. That just kind of happened by accident. I was actually doing makeup for models, and they were just like, "Hey, you have such a unique look. You should try modeling." And I'm just like, okay, why not? So I went with it. I just had fun. I was young. I was ready to explore. And I started getting into modeling. And then I landed a magazine cover. I landed a calendar cover. And I'm just like, what's going on right now? It's just, things just started unfolding and happening for me. And my business was picking up. And I was booming. And before you know it, I ended up at Eddie Murphy's mansion. And this was a modeling gig to basically walk the runway. And I'm like, and I remember telling my husband, I really want to experience what it's like to walk on a runway. I'm like, I know I'm only 5'5". I'm not really that short. I don't feel like I'm model-esque, you know what I mean? But I ended up on the runway. I was one of the shortest models there. And I walked that runway and I enjoyed it. Every second of it. It was amazing. It was beautiful. And fast forward, I started getting into acting. They're like, "Hey, did you ever think of acting?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "Well, why don't you join us one day on set?" And I'm like, "Okay, why not?" So I ended up on set, and I ended up becoming an extra in an indie film. And none of this was planned, by the way. It started just unfolding and happening. Then I ended up in a Warner Brothers trailer. But again, that wasn't planned. It was just, I said yes to something. Someone was just like, "Hey, do you want to play this role in this movie that's happening about an hour away from where you are?" And at first I was a little hesitant, but then I just said yes. I went there and I went into the trailer, and it's a Warner Brothers trailer. And I'm over here sitting and I'm talking with famous producers and actresses and actors. And I'm in awe. I'm just like, I'm here right now and I'm living this Hollywood life and things are just clicking and coming together and I'm having fun. I'm enjoying my life. But there was just something about it that it wasn't really satisfying. And between all of this, between like doing the modeling and the acting and the music, producing the music and singing and songwriting, etc., I was meditating daily. I developed a meditation practice and I lived by the mountains. So I would go out every single day. And this was back when I didn't have a daughter. So it was really easy for me to, get out and meditate and do whatever I wanted any time of the day. So I would go out. And as I was in these meditative states, I started downloading this information connected to frequency and sound, vibration. And it was so hard for me to understand at the time. I remember writing down all of this information and not being able to piece it together. For some reason, I just thought, oh, I'm downloading this information because I'm supposed to use this in creating, my music, and this is going to help me become a celebrity. Or I was just so stuck in that place of just, I knew exactly what I wanted and there's no other way. And I would also have dreams about frequency and sound. And again, all of this information was very foreign to me. So when the time was right, because everything happens in divine timing, I felt like I was ready to really research this information. So I started going on Google and I realized that a lot of this information, these downloads that I was receiving in these meditative states was very accurate. And I'm just like, am I missing something? Why am I receiving this information? And over time, I started understanding why I was receiving this information. And suddenly, it's almost like it clicked for me. And when it clicked for me, that was the day that I decided to ditch Hollywood, to start a family with my husband. That's when it clicked. It's almost like I needed to make that energetic shift first, because I guess everything has to happen in a specific sequence and order. Now that I look back at it, it needed to happen that way in order for everything to work out the way that it needed to. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. After going through the whole depression and feeling really low, like feeling like you're having it all, but you have nothing at the same time, I had this long conversation with my husband, and I'm just like, we need to leave. Like having these fake Hollywood relationships and always just striving for something outside of ourselves, it's not working. It's almost like we would achieve these things and then we were always seeking more and more and more. And it became very, very unhealthy. And I'm just like, if I keep up at this pace, I can't do it. I can't. I'll literally have a breakdown if I keep up at this pace. So I'm like, for our own health, for our well-being, also for our spiritual well-being, I just felt like it was best for us to just leave the Hollywood life behind. So we talked about it and we left our beautiful place that we had in California. We left that behind and we drove cross country. And I'll tell you why. We drove cross country instead of taking a flight, which would have took us like 7-8 hours. But instead, it took us about a week to drive, to relocate to New Jersey. That's basically where my mother-in-law was staying at the time. And she had a place for us to stay while, so that we could look for another place to move into. And we drove cross country because of my beautiful, sweet cat daughter, Melody, because she was a little older. And the vet was just like, it might be a little bit risky if you have her on a flight at this age. So my wonderful husband agreed to it. And I know that he was just like, okay. But at the same time, he's just like, really, do we have to? And I'm just like, please. And he did it because he loves Melody too. She grew on him and he ended up really, really loving Melody, which was so sweet. And we ended up driving cross country. And the reason why it took us so long is because we had to stop. Like literally every day we had to stop and we had to go and into hotels, and I would have to take her little litter box and put the litter and like give her food and make sure she's okay. Because at times she'd be panting and a little bit afraid because she was like a very skittish cat. So she was afraid of traveling, etc. But she made it and she did fabulous and amazing. And of course, there was a lot of tension and stuff during that trip. It was a beautiful trip. We got to see so many different places, and uh, it was wonderful. I mean, I really did enjoy the trip. And then we arrived. We arrived to New Jersey, and finally we arrived. And I remember my mother-in-law was there, and my brother and sister-in-law, and my beautiful niece was there, and they were all there to just welcome us. And we walked into the house, and everyone was so happy to see us. And I remember feeling like, wow, I can't believe I really did this. Like I left everything behind to start a new life. And it felt good. I felt so good to feel like just bonded and connected again with family, with real loving relationships. And then just feeling the excitement of knowing that we were planning on starting our own family just felt right to me. So when I decided to make that shift, all of this information started clicking for me. And this was when I started realizing the power of sound and the power of vibration, and how I was not making music from that powerful place of, hey, I can use these frequencies and these certain vowel sounds in my music to help heal the body. I had no clue. I was asleep when it came to the music that I was making. So when I started learning about binaural beats, and how binaural beats is basically frequencies that you use in the music that enters the ears, right? It goes into the brain, and then it entrains the brain. So you can actually make music, and I'm sure you've heard of it before. It's called binaural beats. And this helps to heal the body. So it tricks the brain into different brainwave states. So I was learning about that. And then I started experimenting with binaural beats and creating binaural beats and feeling the effects and the difference, and seeing my husband feel the difference, and my family, and then my friends. And then soon my clients started, seeing and feeling and hearing the difference. Then learning about the ancient Egyptian practice of vocal toning completely like shifted everything for me when it came to using my voice, when it came to singing, when it came to actually using these vowel sounds. I thought it was phenomenal, the power of vibration of your own voice and what your voice can do to your body. This is literally these vowel sounds, and it's really in your intention coupled with your frequency. And this is powerful. Okay. So what it does is it vibrates within you, and it massages all of your internal organs. It sends signals to your body. And cats, I just found out, they actually do this naturally with their purring sound. When cats are injured, they actually direct their vibrations. So the purring sound, they direct it to the parts of the body that need healing. And this vibration actually starts to heal their body. Well, we have the power to do the same thing. We're just not educated on these topics. So when I started researching this and trying it for myself and seeing that it really works, I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing with my music? And now it started to make sense. All these downloads I was getting, all these dreams I was getting, I was like, I know my mission. I know my purpose. I know why I'm here. I know. It was this deep inner knowing. Something just clicked for me. And I knew exactly what I needed to do. And the moment that I made that shift, I was like, thank you, universe. So I needed to go through all of this to basically learn like music theory, learn how to compose music, learn how to put songs together, learn production, and so on and so forth. So the technical things. And the professional things that will help me create more effectively. And now I'm creating binaural beats and I'm singing tones, etc., to heal the body in a more professional way and in a way that can effectively help anyone who is listening out there. So, I just, when I look back at it, I think it's beautiful. Just, I'm sure everyone out there, you can relate to this as well. Just looking back at your journey. And a little, I left out a lot of information. It's impossible to tell my entire story from finish to end. But what I did was I took out all of the highlights and the pieces that I felt like were important to share with you guys. But I'm sure if you look back at your story, at your life, and where you are today, you'll start to go, oh, so that's why this had to happen and that had to happen. And most of the time, it's hard for us as humans to accept certain things not working out in our lives, or just the day to day, like, why do I have to go through this every day? And you may be asking yourself these questions of, I just feel stuck, or I feel like this isn't working out and that's not working out. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. But most of the time, these are lessons that we need to learn. We need to go through. We need to learn in our own way to pave that way, to pave that path, to get us on track of being that light in the world and sharing that experience and these stories with those around us. It's really just one person at a time. You don't have to be the celebrity to make an impact, one person at a time. And that's all I really want. If I get 2 new people listening to my content versus 1,000, I mean, that's 1,000 would be amazing. 2 is still amazing, right? It's just what needs to be done at the time. It is who is ready for this information, right? Not everyone is ready for this. And there are particular people who are ready to hear this and absorb this. And there are particular people who are not ready for it, or may never be ready, or may not be interested at all, because it's just not part of their journey or their path here in life. So if you're listening right now, know that there may be a message in here, something that you just needed to hear today. And I feel blessed that you're here listening to me right now and listening to my story, and you feel a connection to me. And there's a part of you that's just lighting up. At the end of the day, that's what fuels me. That's what makes me continue to do what I do. So yeah, that's part of, my journey and what led me to where I am today. And I will continue on this path till the day I die. This is it for me. So it's all about frequency. It's all about vibration. I'm going to continue making high vibrational music to help others, to help myself, to help heal the planet. That's my mission. That's my purpose here. I'm going to continue to preach about vibration, about frequency, just about all those things that light me up, and hopefully light you up as well. So yes, so I feel like this was fun. Thank you for just opening up your heart and allowing me to share a little bit about my journey with you and what led me to where I am today on my path of music and sound. And as always, I'd like to leave you with something to walk away with, to help you through your unique journey and of leveling up your frequency. And what I want to leave you with, if you haven't downloaded it already, it's a free ebook, an MP3 guided practice. And this is on the long lost practice of vocal toning. And this dates back since ancient Egyptian time. And it's a wonderful, easy, and very, very powerful practice to really help you level up your frequency, to align with the frequency of vibrant health, abundance, and just beautiful, beautiful relationships. So you can download your copy now. Just go to my website. It's www.itscrystalsun.com, itscrystalsun.com. And just click on grab your free vocal toning ebook on the homepage. You could also stream or download my recent album, My recent album is the Solfeggio and Tones of the Zodiac album. And you can find that on my website as well, www.itscrystalsun.com, and you can find that under the music tab. All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining me this week, and I look forward to co-creating a frequency-driven planet with you. Take care.
Level up your frequency.